Hey everyone, so the new Europe server was finally announced, and I'll show you some insane silver making methods for when you join the server depending on your founder tier. As a player that I made 1 billion in the first 48 hours of the lease launch, I use a lot of these methods in order to build my wealth. So for the Crystal and Gold founder, you'll have access to a 5-day head start on all the free-to-play players, or 2-day head start on the silver founders, which is a very big advantage. So with that big head start, when you start the game, everybody else will be new. Okay? Everyone. Everyone's gonna be joining at the same time. And there's a few things you can focus on that's gonna outdo most of the stuff just because how necessary it is. Like for example, gathering tools, right? You have gatherers that are trying to push to be the first gathering on their tier so they can get all the resources nodes for that. Well, you can try to ease their like pain of trying to find the tools and all that stuff, right? Like trying to spec up the tools to gather also by you focusing only on tools, selling on every single market, and trying to own the tool market, right? Because tools, if you're the first of that tier, okay, gatherers will buy it at whatever price you have. Whatever price is the cheapest, they'll buy it. No matter if it's an insane high price, they will buy it if they have the money for, because they're trying to compete, right? They're trying to be number one on like first to that zone with the like let's say they're gathering hide, right, and and then there's a tier 7 hide, but the start of server, that tier 7 hide zone is full because no one gathered it. So they're going to try to be number one, and they'll buy your tool at whatever price they need so they can be the first to gather it because they know they'll be able to sell the materials for insane high prices. Another thing that's really good is crafting weapons for the early players. Like when the players start, some people will go and miss. Some people will be in corrupted dungeon, or some people will try to fight like bosses and stuff or stuff like that, right? Like try to get a bunch of stuff. Not everybody's econ player, so you want to like source your stuff to it. They don't want to spec up crafting their item, but a lot of the time their item is missing, so they have to. So that's why you can charge a premium on that item. And like 4.3, 4.2 items, stuff like that. You just transmute it, sells very nice. The first like few hours of the game, that's what you want to do. And then like later on, a few hours in, you can do like 5.3, 5.6.3, stuff like that, right? Um, Farming can be also really good because if you're there from start one, you can go for like being the first to reach a certain ingredient, right? Like let's say you're the first to pigs and you're the only one that can make pork omelets or pork pies. Pork pies are really good. You can charge really high for pork pies because that yield makes it worth it, right? Same thing for like beef stew. Oh, we can fight much better this time. If you can get first at that, that's also insanely good. Same thing for breeding, about the same thing, right? Breeding is mostly like you want to be able to get the first tier 3 oxes. If you get that, you can literally charge millions for that first tier 3 oxes. Unless you have 20 of them. Well, that's 20 mil, right? If you're the first to it, you'll be able to charge very high. And even if you're not first, you'll still make insane margins. That's what I'm saying, right? Plots can also be really good for the first few months of the server, but the issue is with plots is that people will swipe for them on the regular server. So if you're a swiper, then you can consider plots. If you're not a swiper, then it might be hard for you to obtain plots, like just by doing econ, just because people will swipe so fast for it. Like it's crazy. And all the like because there's the outer plots that start like 2.5 mil, then there's the 5 million plots, and then there's like the 10 million plots, and then so on and so on as like close to the city you get. So that's like people will always try to get the cheapest plot fastest possible, right? That's just how it works. But that's pretty much it for the gold tiers mostly. But that's not to mention the black market crafting, which is crazy good just because the black market will buy a lot of the volume just because it tries to like fulfill the chest of all the players doing PvE and stuff like that. So you could actually spot some really good deals on the black market, and if you're first to a certain tier, you can just wipe out like the black market for that tier. Just mass craft it and like sell it to all the instant buy order like shown. Now for the silver tier, you'll have 3-day early access, so you'll be 2 days behind the gold and crystal founder. Um, what you want to focus on is supplying your part of the already created market. So you don't want to be the first to do something. You're going to be already late, but you can still get a lot of silver just by profiting off the big margins, right? Like for example, refining is going to be really good for silver tiers just because all the like crafters and all these stuff that are trying to supply that have like that tier 8 and stuff like that, they're going to be buying the refined mats probably. They won't always be refining. So you can still like mass refine and get your account max refining so you can use your focus on refining and like get 1,000 silver per focus. Crafting low tier to the black market is also decent because like I said, like they're already too far ahead. The 2 days is a big head start, right? 2 days, massive. They won't be doing tier 4, tier 5, tier 3 when they already have access to tier 8. They'll be doing like tier 6, tier 7, tier 8 type stuff to the black market. So you can take that market, which is going to be really good margins, and get yourself set up. Gathering can also be really good just because the prices is still going to be capped at transmute price. So anything you gather is going to be the same price as pretty much the first day of the server. That goes pretty much for like almost everyone. You'll be able to gather for quite a bit of time before the prices go down. Cooking is also really good. People's gonna have islands set up by then, so cooking is gonna become possible. So you can be the first to cook technically if you're 2 days in. You'll have like a slight delay, but at least you'll be pretty close to other people just because buying the ingredients is fine. Just make sure you're making profit, calculate all that stuff. Same goes for potion brewing, which is about the same for cooking. Now for the bronze tier, what you mostly want to do is get set up for the massive amount of players that's going to come in on free-to-play day. So if you want to gather, then you definitely want to get your gathering up a lot so you can go in the maps before the free-to-play happens. But you'll still be able to profit insane margins until the free-to-play comes. When the free-to-play comes, that's when you'll see big margins go down. If you can profit off those massive amount of players, that's where you want to set up to. There's not too much to say for like money making methods, but crafting meta sets like low tier so people can come in, get silver, buy that set on the free to play day is definitely a good strategy. Just it's going to be basic econ with good margins. That's pretty much how it's going to be for the bronze tier. The only thing that changes is the shitload of player that's coming the day after. And for free to play, if you're a free to play player, then unfortunately you're not going to get an advantage like everybody else. The advantage you're going to get is the advantage of being there since day one on the long run. So you're going to be playing for the long run. You're not going to be trying to make billions in 2 days. You're just going to try to start alts maybe, speccing up alts, right? And getting that silver per focus just so you're really, you can scale harder than the people that maybe didn't take full advantage of their founder pack. So you're going to get good margins for the next like 6 months. Gathering will be very contested for you if you're a gatherer on free to play, just because there'll be so many players in the early map that everything is going to be clustered. But if you can get to the tier for the black zone, that's where you'll be able to gather. Black zone gathering, and pretty much it. I mean, there's not much else to say. On server launch, I'll be streaming on Twitch the launch of eServer, so you can come watch me there. The main thing I want to say though is copying me is not going to do you any good. Like if you see me crafting an item and just trying to copy me, you will not get the same results. You will not be able to follow closely just because I make sure that like the way I do things will not benefit people that would just copy me. But yeah, if you want to come in, I'll probably be hosting a giveaway for the EU server there. And I'll be like, if you have any questions, I'll try to answer them while I'm rushing for my objectives, just so you can get your questions answered really quickly and do your own journey on making your first billion on the EU server.